Number two, it requires that you set boundaries. Boundaries. Wow. A lot of people think that boundaries are, or is a bad word, or boundary is a bad word, and boundaries are bad. So boundaries are limits that we place, whether within a space, a behavior, a mindset, an interaction. So boundaries are those limits that we set around things. For example, a fence around a yard is a boundary. So what does that mean? The boundary means that this right here is mine. This is my space, right? So that's what a boundary in the terms of a fence can mean, that this is my space. It delineates where my yard is. Boundaries in that same sense keeps people out of your space. Boundaries in that sense keeps you in your space. And boundaries causes or decreases the chances of conflict. Because if your neighbor wants to plant a tree and they come outside, they see the fence and they say, well, I can't plant my tree on the other side of that fence because that's not mine. That's not my property. I can only plant that tree on this side of the fence. Got the idea so far? So boundaries. Boundaries, for instance, people have the invisible fence for their pets. So boundaries says to the pets, hey, you can't go beyond this particular space. Boundaries can protect, right? Because if the fence is there, the gate is closed, then things from outside can't come in and cause harm, or decreases the chances that they come to cause harm. So with all that in mind, then, boundaries for us, boundaries say that, hey, I'm going to place a boundary on, and we can pick some things. Okay, I'm going to place some boundaries on my time. All right, so if you are in a particular profession, if you work in a particular space, if you're in charge of a particular thing, then a boundary can be, for instance, let's choose, say you're doing a newsletter, and the newsletter comes out on Thursday. A boundary can be, hey, if you want to be part of the newsletter, you have to get me your article, get me your contribution, get me your picture, get me your advertisement. You've got to get it to me on Monday so that I can do what I need to do so I can put the newsletter out on Thursday. That is a boundary. A boundary says that I don't go to a particular place. I don't eat a particular food. I don't drink alcohol. I don't, whatever it is that you don't do. And so with your friends, they know that, hey, when we go out, or when we do this, or when we do whatever, then one of the boundaries is that Dwain is not going to drink alcohol. And we shouldn't push him to drink alcohol. One of the boundaries says that I have a date night with my wife, with my husband, on a particular night. And anyone who asks me to do something on that night at that time, I say no. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to go process it. I don't have to ask my wife or my husband, because the boundary says that, hey, that's what we do. So you get the idea? So boundaries. So you have to set boundaries. You got to begin learning and thinking, what are my boundaries? Because here's an interesting thing. The boundaries that you have really kind of define who you are. Wow, that's a good one. I got to write that down. The boundaries that you have help to define who you are. Because sometimes people are proclaiming, this is what I do, this is what I do, this is what I am. Well, people look at you and they see your boundaries and say, okay, well, he says one thing, but here's something else. So boundaries, you got to understand, you got to set boundaries.